Hello, it's another Edinburgh day, looking lovely and bright and shiny and sunny, and I've walked for hours to get here, and I'm here now. That's the important thing. I was up quite late, which is one of the Edinburgh experiences, so that's fine. The fact that I feel like I've already gone and come back to life is just half of the course. You have to experience that, especially at this stage in Edinburgh, especially at this stage. But I have two amazing guests. I wasn't sure I would, but I do. I have two amazing guests, and I am going to bring them in both at the same time. Hello, Kevin and Tom.
Hello.
Yay! Woo! And you both have similarly themed shows, actually. Kevin, tell us that you've already been gone from Edinburgh, so tell us some stuff
Yes.
we were
So
talking.
all my live shows are now done. So I've got two horror virtual shows for the next 2 days, and then
Yeah.
Friday I'm redoing my in-person one, which is ancient Egyptian ones virtually.
Okay. Can you hear? Does it feel? Does it sound like a cattle market in here for you? Or
It's
it's
there's
it's
a little
it's a
bit.
lot. I'm going to move. So I'm going to just put Tom on screen. Just now there's a fire alarm. Wow, everything's going on. Right, so I have to leave this building. So right, I'm going to try and do this. Ah, right. What I'm doing is I'll see whether the internet stays as I'm walking. And I'm going to put everybody in. Oh, it's stopped now.
Okay.
Well, whatever. I'm going to have to move anyway, though, because it's quite noisy here. So, yeah, I'm in Edinburgh Central. Right, I'm going to ask Tom about his show. This is all go, isn't it? Hello, Tom. I saw a
Hello.
little clip of your show yesterday. Whoops, because you were doing a guest spot. Where am I? Yeah, but your whole thing. Tell us a bit about it.
Okay, so it's called the Stand-Up Horror Show. It's a comedy horror mashup. It's a bit like Tommy Cooper, where it's got like magic tricks and jokes and stories and stuff like that. But like it's all kind of going wrong. I came up with the idea in like February.
Oh, wow.
When I thought to myself, like I went to this art exhibition about like how you can use horror to like highlight like the horror in the real world. And I thought to myself, oh, could you do that with comedy? And then so I was like, okay, so how would I like horror up a comedy show? So so I was like, okay, so instead of telling like stories, I could do scary stories.
Mm.
And then I was like, okay, so instead of like regular jokes, I could do like Halloween kind of monster vampire that kind of like theme joke.
Yeah.
And then the more and more that I thought about it, the more and more I was like, okay, so what I could do is instead of like normal crowd work, I could do like tarot reading and like mind reading and stuff like that. So it just kind of slowly grew into this show that that eventually became this kind of so the theme of it is that it's like the stand-up horror show is not my show. It's like the return of this magician who's like a David Blaine style magician who does like death-defying stunts and tricks and all that kind of stuff. But like a minute into the show, his like big trick kills him off stage. So then I'm like thrust into the show and have to perform the whole show whilst we're kind of like filling for time so that he can hopefully come back on and do his final trick. So so that's like the show in itself. Like I say, it's a bit like Tommy Cooper in that everything's going wrong, and it's a bit like I think the play that goes wrong in that it's all going wrong, but with like a horror lens over the top.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that sounds good. So I'm just like, where's everything gone? I'm sorry. I'm just, where am I? What's my name? Who am I? Right. So, and Kevin, yours has got a horror theme as well.
Yes. It's sort of horror, sci-fi, bit of mixture of a slight bit of comedy, and I'm going to experiment with some new material I have never done before. Actually, I only finished writing some of this last Friday on the way home. Well, Sunday on the way home. So I'm going to try it out.
Excellent. So you've got 3 digital shows. One of them I think is more of an ancient Egyptian, and
Yes.
then you've got 2 horror ones, haven't
Yeah.
you? So yeah, push the horror ones.
So
That was noisy in here.
the horror one is tonight at 8 p.m.
Yeah.
All on the Fringe. What's it? Thursday night is the horror one,
Mhm.
and then the Egyptian one's on the Friday.
Oh, excellent. Yeah. So you were up here for a couple of days doing live shows, and now you're doing the digital ones. So have you noticed a difference in the feeling of those?
Oh yeah, they're very different. Obviously, we've done a lot through lockdown virtual, and transitioning between the two, it's different because obviously you've got a frame. I'm waving my arms around and you can't see, so you're in a box on the screen, and that does change how you present. In person, I'm more flexible, and I enjoy it. I enjoy both forms. You just approach them differently.
Yeah. And this is your first in-person Edinburgh, I believe, though you've done the digital print. What about you, Tom? How is this your first? Have you done a few?
So I did my first Fringe in 2014, and I've more or less done every year since, apart from the pandemic year. So I did a show called Only Child Syndrome the first year that I came up, and that was all about like growing up an only child. And I also was in a show called Funs and Games that was quite popular that year, and I was quite lucky that kind of Funs and Games kind of allowed me to have a lot of what's the word? It raised my profile a little bit to be able to do some kind of cool stuff in the following years, and then in 2019 I finally debuted. And I did. I was telling you about it last night. It was a show that. So I had a 24-point spin wheel on stage, and whatever the wheel landed on, like dictated where the set went next. And it was a combination of stand-up tropes and clowning tropes, and the stand-up and the clowning stuff like intersected, and the clowning stuff particularly changed the way that the stand-up stuff would get like delivered across the show. So that was quite popular, and because my stuff's kind of semi-improvised, and kind of do it all in different orders and stuff like that, I've found that I'm hoping that I'm finding my like audience kind of year on year. So like this year, I had people like come see the stand-up horror show, the show I'm doing this year, like 4 times, and I had similarly, I would have people come to the Wheel show or Wheel of Misfortune. I would have people come to that like multiple times, hoping that as the years progress, I'll become one of those acts that people are like, oh, you can like go see that show, and it changes across, across each time.
Yeah, that's it. But I mean, there's also an art to making it look fresh and new, even if it isn't. But I mean, you were saying something about how the improvised stuff sometimes looked more polished, and because you worked on making the stuff that you prepared look like it was just off the cuff. That sometimes it was difficult to tell.
Oh yeah, well I got so like I said, like the audience reviews have been like really nice this year. And they've previously been really nice, but because what I do is not quite the norm, I think sometimes people come into shows with like a set idea of what they want in their head, and then when it's not quite that, I think I don't know, like maybe the wires like don't quite match up, and they're like, oh my god, no, this is. So I got like I said, I got a review, and it was something like unrehearsed, and it was like underprepared and under-rehearsed, but actually it was like, and it was like, oh, and the magic tricks didn't work, and the stories didn't go anywhere, and it's meant to be a bit like Tommy Cooper, like that was the point of the show, like it's. So we do a whole bit at the beginning, right? So how like a lot of like acts like will compare themselves on, like they'll be like, okay, I'm about to come onto the stage, and give me like, right. So we start off with like a voice clip in the first bit from this like David Blaine style magician, who's like, Give me a cheer if you want to hear my gun firing. That I will dodge all the bullets at the end, and we do that, and then the voiceover's like, oh, I'm bleeding out. Like, somebody please call an ambulance, right? And on the first day, someone came up to us whilst we were doing that, and they were like, so is the show not happening then? So yeah, I don't know. Like I say, I think sometimes people just come in with like a set expectation of what they want.
Yeah.
And some people really like that being subverted, and some people because they've got it so set in their head of what they want, they'll be like, no, no, I can't believe that you've done this to me.
Yeah, it's also difficult because if you're selling your show one day one way and then it's not what they thought, that can be confusing. Sometimes it's very difficult to pitch it right, or explain what you're going to do. But
Yeah.
sometimes you don't want to though, because it wants to be a surprise.
Yeah, totally. I mean, and that's something that I aim to do. Like, I do like to kind of subvert people's expectations, but I'm aware that coming with that, sometimes people will be like, "Oh, this isn't quite what I thought it would be," and you know, I've been doing this for like nearly 10 years now, and I still haven't always got the balance right. Because again, like sometimes people, so when I'm flying, I fly with a mask on. So this is the mask that we're wearing in the show, and I'll be out on the street and I'll be like, comedy horror show. Would you like to come and see the comedy horror show? And then like within moments of the show starting, and you know all the gunshots are going off, and I'm like, oh my god, can we fucking sort all this kind of stuff? And again, I think because some people come in and want me to be like, and why do vampires have bad breath? It's all the garlic. Like, they want it to be that, but actually, I think that's actually less exciting if I was to meet those expectations versus to subvert them.
Yeah, I mean, I think there is a lot of people that just like straight up puns that don't necessarily make any sense. Like the ones that won all the prizes. It's like, that's a really old pun, but it still doesn't make any sense. How could it make no sense when it's such an old joke? What? Anyway, stories. Talking about stories, I wasn't. But Kevin, your stories, they've got twists and turns and everything.
Oh, yeah. I like that. You know, I do a lot of writing, and especially over the lockdown where I got into Tales of the Unexpected big time. Such an amazing, what you can do in a very short space of time in 3 or 4 twists. I love that. So my opening one, I did especially for one of Jem's shows. And in 5-6 minutes, I think we've got about 2 or 3 twists in that one, which is quite hilarious. And the others, I do like that touch. The last line, if I can, just to add some, you know, because you don't have much time in storytelling.
Yeah, and you have to. It's just you doing all of the scene building, and well, I mean, I suppose it is with a one-person show. It's just like because you've got all the characters to explain and everything. Yeah,
and you need a bit of variety. You need to keep people hooked. You know, like a 20-minute monologue of something really quite boring just doesn't keep the crowd happy.
No.
So you know, if we can get it in 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15, I think max, and people will keep with it. Yeah, I enjoy it. I like the variety.
Yeah, variety is good. Talking of variety, segue. You were on this show last night, doing a spot, Tom. That was very interesting. So were you interesting? That was good. So you did bits from your show. Was that actually part of it, sort of out of context?
Yeah. So all the bits from the show were bits that are in the show. What I normally do is I try to avoid. If I do those type of slots, I normally try and avoid anything that's in the show, like being in. But because it was so themed around horror, I felt like I better I'd just kind of pull out the greatest hits of the show. I'm hoping that people will come, and if they come from that show into the stand-up horror show, they'll see the same bits, but one, they won't be in the same order and won't have the same context. But also because hopefully, as you saw last night, like they're all very. My shows are very interactive heavy. I'm often I do. I've done a thing over the years where I like tell people off for like laughing at like the wrong bits, which inevitably normally makes them like laugh more. And I was like doing bits of that last night. What I've done with this horror like lens over the top is I'll now also tell them off for like laughing at the scary bits. So yeah, they'll be like, I'll be like, so I do a thing with a Jack in the Box, and I'll be like, and it's based on a true thing that we got a review that said that we weren't scary enough. So I was like, all right, well we'll add a scary bit in, and so I do this, and I'm like, Kevin, what are you doing? What are you? This is meant to be very scary. I don't know. Yes, thank you. You see smirking, Kevin. What are you doing? Thank you. Elise, you started now. This is your show. I'm gonna let this. That's on you, that Elise. You've made this laugh longer. And then I go, right, it's now a 5-star show.
That actually, you did that last night, and although I was expecting it was terrifying.
Yeah. Well, what we do in the main show as well, because I'm on stage and I've also got like one or two kind of like helpers who are like going around like kind of like scaring people in the crowd and stuff, which I wasn't able to do last night.
No.
But I also have for that bit, like when it like pops out, they're like about to scare someone, and then they get scared and like run off and stuff like that. Like I said, I'd hope that the people who came, one, it's like they'd see the same thing, but it would be inevitably different because it's so interactive heavy. But also, there's like elements of the bigger show that they would be able to see like heightened by the context of the theatre that we're in.
Yeah, so that's good. So you've got that until is it 27th or the 28th?
Yeah, 27th.
27th. Yeah. Because I mean, the Fringe supposedly finishes on the 28th, but most things are done by then, really.
Oh yeah, it's depressing on the 28th. You're there performing to like 3 people whilst deflating a giant cow in the middle of the city.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I stayed one time and it's so quiet. I think I climbed up a seat that day and then came to see some shows, and it's like, this is a ghostly town. There's no, and the people that were doing shows are just like, why am I here? Why?
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, I generally book myself a couple of days like either side of the Fringe to allow myself to kind of come down. So yeah, half a seat. I normally do the dungeons or like the vaults tours and stuff like that. Because I like to do kind of non-fringy stuff as a way of just kind of taking my mind out of that mind space.
Yeah, you can I was going to say de-escalate, decompress. That's the word. Yeah. Decompress. Yeah, exactly. So, Kevin, you have the advantage of you're still doing the Fringe because you're doing the Digital Fringe, but you've gone home. You've got all the home comforts that I'm very jealous of. I need corporate. So yeah, this is the way to do it. I think next year is completely. I did start doing just the digital. I went, no, I have to come to Edinburgh, and I'm like, I shouldn't have just stayed.
Yeah. Well, I did start the digital before in person, so that was revving the engine up, ready to go. And then when I hit the in person, it was what the hell is this? What am I here? Why? And then the enthusiasm, and now I'm catching up. I've got lots of things. It's inspired so much new writing. And as Tom was saying about the Jack in the Box thing, with my horror ones, if you use the tropes that people expect things to happen, it does add a lot, even if they're like I use a clown doll. So as soon as I mention there's a clown doll, everyone knows something's gonna happen. And then just to like ramp up the level until you're ready to trip that box. Oh yeah, that's people like that. I like it. I like performing that.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah, it's so good. Oh, I need coffee. Yeah, anyway. All right, keep focused. Yes, I am very focused. Right, yeah, so have either of you, you've got a digital show later, haven't you, Kevin?
Yep, 8 p.m. and then 8 p.m. and then 8 p.m. again.
Good. And your show is at what time, Tom?
Mine's on at 3:40. 3:40 every day at the Caves, which is like a gothic, like a gothic underground venue, which I'd intentionally picked to kind of suit the theme and stuff. And it would appear to. I've been told it's like one of the more kind of busy shows in my space. So I'm hoping that if this year ends up being like successful, which I think it's on its way to being, I may come back and like I'd like to kind of run the stand-up horror show like year on year. You know, it has to be like one of those things that's just like you can like go down to it and it updates and it changes.
Cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
That is excellent. Cool. Yeah. So, what's next for either of you? Have you got big plans for next year? You're like formulating ideas, either of you.
Oh yeah, loads. I've already planned for next year.
That's good. Yes.
I'm hooked.
Extravaganza. It's just you, but have you got like no? It's just me and a chorus of dancing girls.
Well, you never know what might happen in the meantime. But oh yeah, I'm still on UK tour, so I've still got about another 5 or 6 shows to do around the country and plans.
Yeah. What about you, Tom? Plans for next year apart from the anything else? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mentioned last night to Elliot from the show last night. I can't remember if you were there or not, but I've got this idea that because my shows are like so divisive, I've got a number of like very nice reviews and theatre awards and stuff like that. But I also have a number of 1 and 2-star reviews. So I was like, well, you know, I'm going to weaponize my 1 and 2-star reviews and do a show all about called The Actual Greatest Showman, where it's going to be all about me trying to capture the essence of P.T. Barnum and Freddie Mercury and David Bowie and people like that. But like, I'm going. Again, it's early days, but what I'm thinking. So I took this to the person who I like develop shows with. He's called Ian Angus Wilkie, and he like used to do like sitcoms in like the 90s, and he's like an utter genius. And I'm very, very lucky to have him as like a friend and like a creative muse. But anyway, this is the early plan because, like I said, I like to like subvert expectations. To do like a dual-sided flyer, and one of them's got all the bad reviews on it, and on the other side, or have like a second flyer which has got like twisted versions of all my like reviews, similar to what Barnum would have done. So like I've got like 4 stars in the Lancaster Guardian. I have a version of the flyer which is like 4 stars, The Guardian. And like maybe come up with my own website, which is like which basically just gives everyone like amazing reviews. So yeah, at the minute that's kind of the idea to this kind of like guerrilla marketing idea that's like all based on like Barnum's way that he used to do it.
That's exciting. Yeah, that's pretty cool. So that sounds good. Excitement for the future from both of you then.
Yeah.
It's going to be a brilliant year, and then next year's going to be fantastic, and it's all going to be great. Yeah,
I'm sure
enthusiasm.
we'll crash before
Yeah.
then.
I'm sure we will. No, I am trying to get the enthusiasm going, but I was sat waiting for the show last night because I was helping with the show that Tom was guesting in, and I was just sat there while the people were flying on a bollard in Grassmarket and looking quite miserable probably, but somebody came up to me and said to me what I thought they said, "Are you working?" I'm like, no, what? And then they said no. I said, "Are you okay? You look sad," and they were trying to help me to get me through this and I was like, this is embarrassing now because now I'm like really sorry. So I'm really trying not to look like I'm miserable all the time. It's a hard thing. My face is just naturally miserable. I don't know about you. It's just miserable face. It's like, yeah, just like cheer up. It's like I'm cheering. Oh no, somebody's just sneezed on me now. That's great. Oh no.
Oh,
All right, so this is a great miserable day. Yeah, that's really convincing, isn't it? This is more horror than this is like Jack's back. Yeah. Anyway, I'm slightly going off on one here on a tangent, which is fine. Yeah. Right. So your shows, you've got one at 8. Yours are 3 at 8, aren't they? And yours are at 3:40. Did you say
Yeah.
3:40
Yeah,
at
3:40.
the Caves? And it's ongoing, and the Fringe is still on, folks. It's still on.
This
It's
is
still on. It's very much still on. All right, I'm gonna chop it off there because I definitely need coffee, as you probably all noticed. Although maybe this is me without coffee. Can you imagine? Anyway, so I'm gonna go and I'm gonna get some food and sit down. I think so. Stick with me in the studio for a second. We can do the little decompression thing. But thank you very much for joining me. And bye bye. I might not do my live stream tonight. I'm not sure. I'll check with you later, Karen. All right. So bye bye. See you tomorrow.